Other viewers, you're welcome to this episode. We're here with Harry. But before I go any further, I want to ask him a question, because like the first time I heard about Harry Berry, I expected a British man to be in Uganda probably doing agriculture. And when I came here, I just discovered that it's you, the native. How did you manage to get those names?
I think that's a story for another day.
Interesting.
Let us talk about
That was the light moment. So now he is going to take us through how he controls the pests and some other activities that he's doing on the farm. You are welcome. So Harry, starting with the pests, tell us how you sort out this kind of situation.
Yes, so we spray. We spray.
Which chemicals?
Now, before we talk about the pests, there's a lot of things that you have to manage.
Please take us through.
To tomatoes. So many people mistake the fact that, they think with tomatoes you simply have to spray, without knowing what they're spraying against, and without merging that with the climatic conditions, either of the area or the weather conditions within that area. So in wet conditions, it's uncommon, or it's not very common to have infestation of pests.
In wet conditions?
Yes, they are there, but they are not as common as they are in dry conditions, because in dry conditions they are all flying around, they are moving. If we talk about the white fly, if we talk about the fruit fly, all those things, they are more common in the dry season than in the wet season. Yeah, so unless you notice that there are pests in your garden, it does not require you to be spraying and managing pests. You simply, so in the wet conditions, or in the wet season, what you're managing mostly are diseases. Now, so we spray with the synthetic chemicals, but we are also keen, and this is now from my other iterations, feedback and research, we are also keen on making sure that the phytotoxicity of the chemicals we put in is less than a percentage point. So that involves, first of all, the choosing wisely, being choosy on the chemicals that you spray, and secondly, balancing the frequency of spraying. So you'll talk to any agriculturist and every week you have to be spraying. Yeah, but if the disease is not so severe, why should you make it every 7 days? You can extend it to 10 days.
It's kind of cram work.
Yes, you can extend it to 14 days, so that in the end you don't have the phytotoxicity is not so high. You don't want to kill people.
Give them a lot of chemicals.
In the end, yeah. So, and I think that is what makes our product unique.
The humane perspective.
Yes, that we are so keen to make sure that, yes, we are not organic farmers, but we may not be certified organic farmers, but still what we produce is not as dangerous as the other synthetic chemicals would do. So that's generally how we would manage. Among the common pests that we have, since you asked about pests, the most common one is something called the American bollworm. So it is a worm. It's like a caterpillar. So it boils into the fruit, and you'll find a big hole there on the fruit, or two big holes on the fruit itself, especially in the second and third months, like at this stage it starts, because it lives on the leaves of the plant, and as soon as the fruit comes out and it's edible, it goes in.
It attacks.
Yes. But that's very easy to manage. there is something called there are chemicals that we use to spray and make sure
It's cleared up.
that's the same chemical that is used in cotton and some of these other, sweet potato. It's also there, and you manage it. So it goes out very fast, and as soon as it goes, then you don't need to continue spraying it. You just leave it and you continue to. You have the fruit fly. We have not yet put fly traps, but what we do, there is something called the fly trap. We put a bottle. A normal Ruenzori bottle, 1.5 liter. Then we put the fly trap in there. So a fly trap, it emits a certain scent and attracts the flies. So we put a hole there, and then the flies enter, and somehow they get intoxicated and die. So it attracts all those fruit flies from the garden.
Wow.
Yes, but one other pesticide that we use is this. I am sure your viewers who have done tomato growing of vegetables are familiar with the Dudu acelylamectin. That is one of the pesticides that we use, and we spray on a weekly basis if the conditions are dry and the risk of infestation is high. But otherwise, actually in the wet season we do not put this at all. We prefer to leave them as they are. And so we use as few chemicals as possible. We just put the ones that are necessary to control the diseases. And then on the other hand, we use fertilizers. Now in the previous episode, I meant to mention that as you're preparing your nursery bed, you need to mix the soil with the farmyard manure, so that at least it's fertile enough for the seed to germinate.
Okay, from the seed bed.
Yes, in the nursery bed. So same thing happens after 1 month. So that's 1 month after transplanting. We put farmyard manure, so that's cow dung.
Now in the main garden.
Yes.
That is before mulching.
Yes, before mulching. Yes, just before mulching, you put
the manure and all this
chicken droppings and everything else that is there in the garden. That gives them a lot of nitrogen. So I'll mention at this point that with fertilizers, the formula is very simple. I'm sure people have had NPK. Well, there are probably those combinations, and they put on the bottle NPK. But NPK is the nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium. So, and that sequence is also followed when we are fertilizing the
garden.
The plants. They need a lot of nitrogen in the beginning, say in the first month and a half. Then, as they flower and start fruiting, they need a lot of phosphorus. And now when the fruit has started enlarging, probably in the last month, you need a lot of potassium. A lot of it.
Now, do we have specific fertilizers with those standard ratios, or it's you to work it out?
You can work it out. You need to be, same thing I mentioned in the last episode, you need to be choosy with what you're buying. Read the labels. What is the percentage of nitrogen in there? What is the percentage of phosphorus? What's the percentage of potassium? And at what stage are you with regard to the garden?
Wonderful.
Yeah? So don't, of course, retailers are retailers. They'll tell you, this is what works. No, you read the label and say, I think I am going with this.
You have to know what you want.
Yes. One example is actually two examples. So you have this one here, which we put as a foliar fertilizer. So it makes sure the leaves,
the foliage,
yes, they grow faster. And once this is done, so this has a lot of nitrogen and considerably a good amount of phosphorus. And then this, this here has all the three, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, but the biggest amount is potassium.
Okay.
Yes, so we choose to do this in the last 1 month and a half up to harvesting. Yeah, and we choose to do the other nitrogen bit in the beginning.
So one is responsible for the leaves formation, and another one is for the fruits development
to enlarge and so on. Now remember, please, as the farmers are doing research, usually they'll tell them, you know, when you put this, the fruit will become big and the people will like it. Yes, but from our still from our earlier iterations, we get to understand that customers don't just want big. Yes, they want big fruits, but they also want tasty fruits. You see, you don't want something that is tasteless. And there are two things that determine taste. One is the variety. Two is that business of enlarging aimlessly. Yes. So you have to maintain the
you eat a tomato, but you don't feel the taste.
Yes, you don't. These days, people have stopped eating tomatoes in salad because they
just
don't make any.
It's as if you're eating some other kind of vegetable.
But recently, we've been selling tomatoes to some people, and for some reason, they have failed to use them to cook, because every time someone gets a break, he opens the fridge and eats a tomato.
That's a good one.
Yes, so
very
that's what has happened, because we maintain the taste.
Wow.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
That's very important.
You know, there are very few farmers who can bring in that kind of perspective. They are, you know, yearning to get as much profits as they can, and they are failing to consider the quality bit of it and the taste. So when you bring in that, I'm so delighted. This is a rare kind of thing that you can capture from a farmer. Probably some people don't know, but I believe my viewers out there, they're enjoying this show just because of that.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, our dear viewers, we shall still be with Harry. We're halfway the growing of tomatoes. He will be taking us in the next episodes about the harvesting and also the marketing, telling us the marketing strategy he's using, and telling us about how big the market of tomatoes is, so that for those who are interested in getting engaged into this kind of activity can get to know that this is something they can engage into. Thank you so much.